Hello everybody, welcome to another video. In this video we're going to cover the power of fair value gaps. Going to cover everything you need to know about fair value gaps, how to utilize it for proper entries, how to identify the rebalances, how to use it as market information to place yourself on the right side of price action. We're going to use it as information and not only entries. Not every fair value gap is an entry. It is information that you are to take into account when navigating the markets. So first and foremost, let's start on the 4 hour. We're going to do sort of a top-down approach. We're going to start with the 4 hour. We're going to go to the 1 hour. We're going to see what price is doing. And we're going to see if it makes sense. So what do we see here on the 4 hour? Clear pump in price to this point before a reversal has taken place. Price has created new highs. You see it's began to head lower, and time again, rejecting highs, sweeping highs, heading lower, like here, heading lower, disrespecting bullish fair value gaps on the 4 hour time frame, inversing all of these, while simultaneously forming bearish 4 hour fair value gaps. So we're going to mark this 4 hour gap here. We have this one here, and we have that 4 hour gap right there. So we have that placed right here. We're going to keep that there. We want to see what price is going to do if it decides to tap into this gap. Will it run through it, tap into the second gap? Will it reject it and head lower? We're going to analyze what price does from that point. So from the 4 hour, we drop to the 1 hour. We think, okay, what do we have here? And right off the bat, I see a clear 1 hour bearish gap as well. As you can see, the recent price action has been bearish. There's been a willingness to head lower. And we have a 4 hour bearish gap overlapping a 1 hour bearish fair value gap. And so our job becomes to analyze what price does to this point. Does price show a willingness to head into this gap? We'll see. As you can see, as price pumps into that gap, we are at the midpoint of the 4 hour, and we're just above the midpoint of the 1 hour bearish fair value gap. And so what we're going to do now is see if price is willing to deliver out of this and head lower. Is there a willingness? How do we do that? We go to even lower time frames, look for more confirmations, and most importantly, look if there are draws on liquidity lower. Is there a reason for price to head lower? So let's go to the 15-minute now. What do we see here? Off the bat, right away, I see relative equal lows, not equal lows. We have two lows within the same vicinity right there. We're going to mark out, we're going to put sell side liquidity right there. And once more, we have yet another bearish fair value gap. This one being a 15-minute bearish fair value gap. Once more right here. So what do we have here to recap? We have a 4 hour bearish gap at the midpoint now price, a 1 hour bearish gap overlapping it, and a 15-minute bearish gap overlapping that as well. All while the recent price action, higher time frame narrative has been bearish, while there are relative equal lows below. So okay, it would make sense if price was willing to head lower. Now the job becomes locating a probable entry. You see that price has delivered out, left these lows behind. We'll see if there's a willingness for price to head lower. So we go on the lower time frame. We could go on the 3 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute. One of those time frames, whichever one resonates with you the most. And we're going to analyze what price does here to this point. Price has not yet tapped into that 15-minute, and this would also correlate with the rebalance model. If we rebalance on the 15-minute to a bearish gap with an internal sweep, let's say here, and we find an entry with the draws below, that would also correlate using the power of fair value gaps to your advantage. Let's see, no internal sweep yet. We're going to wait for that. And there we go. So we get an internal sweep here. What have we done? We've retested a 4 hour bearish gap, a 1 hour bearish gap, a 15-minute rebalance here as well to this bearish fair value gap. Internal sweep of that high with relative equal lows below. If there's a willingness for price to head lower, it would make sense. The fair value gaps here are being respected to this point. We'll see if price chooses to deliver outside of it. And the draws below do make sense. We haven't taken out all those lows. So we're going to analyze what price does here to this point. Still nothing. No entry here. That's what we'll look for, but there is none just yet. Internal sweep there. So we could go from internal range liquidity to external range liquidity, all from the power of fair value gaps. And what do we have here now? Well, if you pay attention, we have this here. If price breaks below here, we have a change in the state of delivery, as well as a breaker right here. So this would be a bearish breaker right there with a change in the state of delivery. And we can use that as a clean entry for price to deliver lower. We're delivering out of those gaps. We have that internal sweep, that rebalance. And so let's wait and see. As you can see, price confirms that breaker right there. And from that point, that would be the entry right there. That entry makes the most sense with those lows there. That's around a 2.8 to 1R with that change in the state. Let me write it down. Change in the state of delivery on the 3-minute time frame, delivering out of the 4-hour, out of the 1-hour, off that 50-minute rebalance, internal sweep, change in the state, breaker formation with lows below, internal range liquidity to external range liquidity. It all makes sense. And so right there is the entry. That's the entry there. And let's see how price reacts. Around a 2.8 to 1R. And as you can see, there we go. Price goes and takes that low. We left that low behind. We left the drop behind. We went to rebalance on the 4-hour, 1-hour, 15-minute internal sweep using the knowledge of the fair value gaps. We're seeing, okay, we're in an area where price can reject. We have overlapping fair value gaps on the higher time frame. The higher time frame narrative is bearish. We get that internal sweep on the lower time frame, delivering out of those bearish fair value gaps. And we're seeing, okay, price is showing a willingness to head lower now, and we have those draws below. So we're using those higher time frame fair value gaps to look at that area where price can make a move lower, where price can head towards those draws. We mark out those gaps. We see that internal sweep. We get that reversal, changing the state, breaker formation towards the draw below. And just like that, you catch a 2.8 RR, just like that. All right, so here's another example of how to use fair value gaps to your advantage and to put it into context to find the likely move for price. What are we seeing here in price action? Well, the overwhelming delivery in price has been bullish for the most part. We got a retracement here. Price then came. Stated delivery is confirmed bullish. And what do we do here? Price comes, retests off that 4-hour bearish gap right here. You see that price is beginning to deliver out of it. Not yet convincing, but you're starting to see a bit of a delivery out. So we go to the lower time frames to find more confirmations. Like I said, we have a breaker here as well that price is delivering out of. This is just an additional concept. It isn't a fair value gap, but it's a PD array. We're delivering out of that bullish breaker right here, which price has respected as well. Then from that point, we go to the 1-hour. Okay, let me remove this because price deviated below it on the 1-hour. Even though on the 4-hour, note this, it has been delivered out of. So the 4-hour fair value gap is still valid. What do we see here on the 1-hour time frame? Well, on the 1-hour time frame, we have this right here. Price is delivering out of this 1-hour fair value gap right there. Clearly respected. Midpoint of the 1-hour fair value gap has been respected as well. As you can see, that orange dotted line to the tick. That is another concept that you are to use. Respected to the tick. As you can see then from that point, what do we do? Well, price inverses this 1-hour bearish gap here. Another concept to be used for information. Okay, so to recap, just right now using the 4-hour and 1-hour, the higher time frame stated delivery is bullish. We've delivered out of a 4-hour bullish gap. We have a 4-hour breaker that's being respected. We're delivering out of a 1-hour bullish gap. We've inversed a 1-hour bearish gap. And what do we have here? Oh, equal highs resting above right here. So there is reason to expect price to head higher. We have equal highs resting above. So now when you take everything into account, the delivery is bullish. The fair value gap information is telling us that, hey, price is likely heading higher. And we have draws on liquidity that makes sense. We have equal highs above that makes sense for price to gravitate towards. So like I said, we retest this 1-hour inverse gap after delivering out of the 1-hour bullish gap, and that's been respected as well. You're starting to see it's being respected. So then I go to the 50-minute. What do we have here? This is a 1-hour inverse fair value gap right there. We could keep it. And then what are we doing now? Well, price, again, is delivering out of this 15-minute bullish gap right here. We'll take that out, but that's the 1 hour inverse gap. Price is delivering out of that 50-minute gap respected, delivering out of this 50-minute gap. Right now it is being respected. We've inversed several bearish gaps here on the 15-minute, as you can see right here. Inverse them. Again, confirming that bullish narrative. And what did we get here? We got a sweep of liquidity right here. So we swept sell side right here.